Morning, Trainiacs. Trying out some rollers right now. Instead of a direct drive, the Wahoo kicker trainer that I normally use, we're on the Elite Miro rollers, which sync up with Zwift. If you're in the market for a trainer and you don't know what to get, if you're thinking rollers or a trainer, we're going to talk about the differences and what my experience has been with the Elite Miro. I've fallen a lot more than you've just seen. Way more. Woo-wee. So, alright, Trainiacs, now that I've lifted these hundreds of pounds worth of trainers into position here, let's talk about trainers versus rollers. And in my opinion, there's about 5 big things that you need to consider if you're making a purchase decision between rollers and a more traditional trainer. Now, number 1, rollers are going to require a little bit of a learning curve. So my first time on rollers, it's not exactly what I expected. It's not very hard to learn. The big thing is that you do not want to look down at all. You want to just look forward like when you're normally riding. A little bit tough to manipulate like turns and things on Zwift, or grab a water bottle with one hand. Try it now, but you see that I'm not really able to look at you at all freely. Like, you've got to work for it the whole way. Now, I've probably spent now about 3 hours on the rollers. The first 10-20 minutes was a complete disaster, but after 3 hours now I'm a fair bit more comfortable that I don't have to think about it a ton. Still, going from the drops to the aero bars is a little bit uncertain, but you can get to the point that it's basically the same as riding outside. Dr. Dan Plews, the guy that helped coach me up to Challenge Roth, he does all of his training on rollers, and he says that he uses really no more mental energy than he would outside. Ride on them enough, and these can be basically the same as riding outdoors. With enough time, you'll get there, but when you first start trying them out, it is not going to be pretty. It wasn't pretty for me. Hours.
Oh, there you go.
Now, next, the workouts on rollers is a little bit different than what you get on a trainer. Whereas on a trainer, you can do really sharp spikes. You can get up out of the saddle, you can sprint. You can't really do that as well on rollers. Because sprinting is just hard, it's uncontrolled. It's going to end up rattling the bike around, likely jumping you off the rollers. And B, these are the Elite Miro rollers, which are rated at 830 max watts. These high-end trainers like the Wahoo Kicker, the Tac X, the Cyclops Hammer, those are rated for 2000 watts. So just a lower max wattage rating, and what I found is that past about 250 watts, this didn't really want to stay there for any length of time. So while I could get spikes up and have more power beyond that for a few seconds, it didn't want to stay there. It didn't want to allow me to crush out really high-end VO2 max intervals. On the low end, it also didn't really want to let me get down to that really easy cool down, because I think the momentum of the wheels themselves actually keep you from going too easy. So the sweet spot on this was anywhere in between about 130 watts and 250 watts. Sweet spot on this is anywhere from 50 watts to 2000 watts. I've never seen a point where this basically just sort of steadied out. Next, the workout on the rollers will actually make you mentally tougher. So if concentration is something that you're struggling with, if you find that your mind wanders, or you start just getting kind of negative self-talk going throughout a race or a long ride, this might help with that, because just riding in itself forces you to concentrate. When I was down at the Zwift Tri Academy earlier in the year, what a lot of the athletes were saying was that they liked going into erg mode with a Wahoo kicker on Zwift and just checking out. You don't have that option to check out here. And what Dan Plews said again about why he does all of his training on rollers is because it adds an aspect of concentration, which is a really important thing when you get into a race. You don't want to not have developed a mentally strong brain muscle so that when you get into a race, all of a sudden you're getting mentally fatigued, which actually takes up a ton of energy. If you've trained that mental muscle with something like rollers, when you come into the race, it's going to end up feeling like a shorter amount of time, and you're going to be able to stay mentally engaged in the work. Next thing, really quickly, if you tend to get saddle sores, you get a sore bum on a trainer, that's normal, because with a fixed trainer, the saddle is basically set up right there with maybe about 1/4 to 1/2 inch of wiggle room. But essentially, you're just sitting on a stationary 2x4. With this, I did not get a sore undercarriage whatsoever because there's always that little bit of movement, just like when you're on the road. So it takes some of that side-to-side pressure off your undercarriage, which I really appreciated. And then the final thing to consider is just what are you using the trainer for? If you really want like very, very specific workouts where you have to hit certain power numbers, certain cadences, you want to sprint, you need to get out of the saddle, you need to do a lot of standing work, you need really high amounts of power, this is probably the trainer for you. If you're looking for something that is more like recovery rides, long, steady rides, kind of shorter strength-based rides where the cadence is a little bit low, maybe power is just a little bit higher, this is going to be a really nice experience. Or if you like to just be in front of the TV, have the TV on and ride away, this is also going to be a really nice experience. If you only have money for just one trainer, I'd probably say get a more typical trainer because you're going to be able to do more workouts. In an ideal situation, you probably might want to have both. This for your really specific work, this for your recovery rides, this for your off season, for your base building season, where it's just a little bit easier on the body and that side to side movement forces you to actually develop a nice stable core and be able to control your bike with the core. This is also a training tool just like this. Personally, I'm gonna go back to this just because I only like having really one set trainer around here at all times, and it's gonna be that. Doesn't mean that I don't enjoy this. These are actually the Elite Miro interactive rollers that communicate with your Zwift, your pre-planned workouts, your trainer road, things like that. So if you do like rollers and you like the interactivity of Zwift and all those interactive training tools, this is one way to do it that historically rollers didn't allow for. As far as rollers go, I really only have one thing to compare it to, but I liked it. The learning curve was fairly easy because there's this small little lip on the edge of the, gonna have to crop way in there, small little lip on the edge of the rollers, keeping the bike from falling off. So the learning curve was a little bit better, but there were those issues of not being able to get up to really high powers or really low powers. But overall, thanks for sending this out, Elite. I learned a lot about rollers. This is very cool. All right, Trainiacs, if you like hearing about things like Zwift and rollers, well, we're coming up fairly soon to winter. That means trainer season, Zwift season is right around the corner, so there will be a lot of content on that. Make sure to hit the subscribe button below.